want to give our esteemed panel of experts from our customer experience standpoint
Steamed, maybe.
their shining hour. So it is my distinct pleasure to introduce, from a customer experience standpoint, Dr. Cedric Bryant from ACE. That is the American Council on Exercise. And then we have Kristi Lane and Kelly Hartshorne. They're all in your agenda. From Rodale, Inc., you'll see they manage publications like prevention, men's health, women's health. So very happy to have them both here. We have Traci Kubisiak.
Close enough.
Well, I completely botched Grant's name, so it's just the way the day's going. From David Martin Agents Benefit Consulting Agency. And finally, Amy Tomczyk from Blue Zones, who will talk a little bit more about what Ann just talked about. And if you stay long enough, you might learn the name of that wine. Okay, so very, very warm welcome for our customer experience panel and Dr. Bryant. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Wendy, for that nice introduction. I'd like to start by thanking Ergotron for putting on such a wonderful event and for having really the thought, leadership, and vision to embark on such an endeavor to really lead the way in changing how we view, how we behave in the workplace. And I also think that they are really going to help, along with all the like-minded organizations here, to really reverse some very disturbing statistics that we've heard about all throughout the day. I mean, it's been a pretty kind of consistent theme. We sit a lot in the workplace. It creates a number of problems, and those problems are going to create quite an issue for us as a country if we don't reverse those disturbing trends. We have an obesity epidemic that we've been talking about for decades, really, and we really haven't done much to move the needle. And it's really exciting for me, coming from an exercise organization, to hear people talking about simply moving. Because one of the things that I think has happened over time is that we've been so focused on what I call the 2%ers, the people who are at the high end of the continuum, the rare individuals who really love physical activity and exercise, but there's a large slice of the population that are either intimidated, don't know where to begin, don't particularly enjoy physical activity or exercise, and we've got to come up with effective solutions for helping to address that crowd. And that crowd, which we all are a part of, spend significant amounts of time in the workplace. So that's a great target for us to start to make a difference. Just to give you a quick little overview in terms of who the American Council on Exercise is as an organization, we're a nonprofit certifying organization. We certify health and fitness professionals, personal trainers, group fitness instructors, health coaches. We certify the Chris Freitags. She's one of our shining stars, by the way. And we have a network of about 55,000 of those individuals that we've certified. And so you'll find them working in the community to try to provide a type of activity experience for the public. Their abilities to reach the public are going to be somewhat limited because, again, it's going to appeal to those folks who are looking for what I call more of that purposeful movement experience. But as we know, looking at what available data shows us is that simply getting people to move more can translate into a very significant and powerful public health benefit. And so we've got to come together and develop strategies to do so. One of the other things that we do at ACE is that we evaluate exercise programs, we evaluate products, we evaluate trends, and some of the things that we've looked at over time, for example, we did a study about 10 years ago looking at what was the impact of your dress at work with regard to your level of activity. And what we found, probably not a surprise for anyone in the audience here, is that on those casual work days, individuals moved on average about 8 to 10% more than when on the non-casual work days. And it tended to be closely linked to the type of footwear you were wearing. So I heard someone say earlier about needing to kind of relax our attitude with regard to what defines proper footwear in the workplace. One of the things, particularly for women, we found is that if women aren't wearing flats, their level of activity is going to be severely reduced. Okay, we need to change that. The other thing, because the problems that we're trying to address are so large and expansive, we've got to work together. No one single organization is going to be able to effectively move that needle, if you will. We've got to learn to collaborate. And over our 28-year existence, we found that the most impactful and significant things we've been able to accomplish as an organization has been a result of partnership and collaboration, working with groups like the AHA, coming together and bringing like-minded groups who have the same vision and purpose can allow you to accomplish great things. And then finally, why do we get up and go to work as an organization at ACE? It's to help people live their most fit lives. And when we think in terms of fit lives, there's a large continuum of how one can define what a fit life is, and it's going to vary according to the individual. But what the simple way of looking at it is being able to have the functional capabilities to do the things in life that you want to and need to do. And that's really what we want to do. We want to develop ways and means either through our professionals or through our website where we have a lot of consumer resources to help people to do that. Now this is just, I've kind of beating the horse and resuscitating it and beating it again in terms of all the information we've been seeing about how the state of our health as a country, and it's largely attributed to some of the lifestyle choices that we make. And 4 out of 5 of the individuals who come to your places of work are going to probably suffer from some type of chronic illness. Okay? And if we don't do something to change these lifestyle behaviors, it's going to have a huge economic, emotional, and physical impact on us as a society, and we're seeing the fruits of that now. And so we've got to lead that change. And how we lead that change is coming up with ways to help people create healthy lifestyles. And today I just want to focus on some of the things that we as an organization have been doing from a workplace perspective. The benefits are obvious. They've been covered. Genevieve did a wonderful job to kick the session off in terms of all the tangible and intangible benefits that one can derive from having a culture of workplace wellness. And I think it's an important distinction to think in terms of a culture versus a program or an initiative, much like Ann just finished saying, is that you really want it to be part of who you are as an organization so that it's something that's going to be sustainable. Because we know that unless we can get individuals to make these behavior changes in a sustainable fashion, the benefits are going to be short-lived. So how did we do it at ACE? We started by developing a wellness committee. In that committee, we thought it was important to make sure that we got involvement from all the different departments so that everyone would have ownership and buy-in. We also made sure that the C-suite, which I happen to be a member of, was integrally involved as well. And you might think, well, you guys are a fitness company, you're an exercise company, it's kind of an easy sell. Don't assume that. Prior to really embarking on being intentional and purposeful about having and creating a culture of wellness, we had a very beautiful gym that was rarely used. We had individuals who suffer from all the various diseases and conditions that we see. people struggling with weight challenges, and I'd say probably about 20, maybe 30% of our population is what I would say are regularly active. So we're not very different than the average workplace in terms of our normal profile. And our C-suite executives, our CFO and our CEO are from Missouri. You got to show them. Okay, and so one of the ways in which we started this process was actually with Ergotron, in that we talked about experimenting with the WorkFit station. Okay, and so we got about 4 to 6 of those stations, looking to see what the response was. Response was just tremendously positive, and so now we have those stations for all of our 70-plus employees. Okay, and I'll talk a little bit later on about what are some of the things we've been seeing there. One of the things that we're in the process of doing is trying to evaluate what's been the impact of this kind of workplace wellness culture that we're creating, and looking at what's happening with our engagement survey. We do an employee engagement survey every year, and what we want to see is, are we really being able to get individuals to be feeling that they're a part of something, they're engaged, and they're ready to really make a difference because of our mission. The other thing that's neat is that it becomes a little bit of a competition internally. As I said, we have all the departments that get involved. Each department is responsible for managing the wellness activities and efforts on a quarterly basis. And so we'll have some groups that will plan a lunch and learn activities to talk about healthy eating and nutrition. Some will provide different mind-body activities to try to work on, stress management. They'll have others that will bring in different outside experts to lead different types of classes, and we'll have different kind of team events, team and training events, where they'll go and they'll participate in some type of a walk-run activity, volunteering at the homeless shelter to serve food. So we're getting involved in a multiplicity of activities. But one of the most impactful things that we've done is we have recess. 2 times a week, the bell rings at 2:45, everyone leaves their workstations, and they go out for recess. We're talking hopscotch, double dutch, relay races, tag, just all the things that we did as kids. Because one of the things that happens to us magically as we mature is we forget how to play. Okay, and I would argue that most people, while they don't like exercise, they love to play. And so we found just doing simple things that are enjoyable, that are pleasurable, because to Kristi's point, we'll find time to do those things that are engaging and fun. Okay. We always accept that excuse that I don't have enough time to be physically active, but if those activity choices are fun, engaging, you will do them. We have the sit and stand stations. Let me talk about those for a second. When we brought those in, we started with 4 to 6, and as I said, it quickly spread throughout the organization with everyone kind of lusting for theirs. And so we made those available, and they've been available to the entire body for now probably about 4 to 6 months, I would say. And in that time, what we found is that it's really kind of transformed our behavior, in that people are not only standing at their individual workstations. Now when we have a Monday morning meeting where we check in to see kind of what are the hot burning topics, those meetings are now standing meetings. Many of the directors, myself included, we hold routinely walking meetings. We have outside vendors that come in. we hold stand-up walking meetings with them, and then they want to learn more about, well, what's this recess thing you talk about? And so it's starting to invade the culture of our staff, where they're talking to their friends and family and neighbors about the wacky thing they did at recess. Okay, because what we want to do is we want to infect our community in the greater San Diego area with this mindset of thinking wellness, thinking movement, thinking that it's abnormal to sit excessively, and really to really buy into the notion that we as human beings were designed to move. Okay, we weren't designed to be confined to space and to sit for prolonged periods of time. The other thing that we do is we rely on the staff to help us to continue to create and innovate with regard to our wellness offerings. And so we have a suggestion box, and they're able to anonymously, if they choose to, offer suggestions in terms of things they'd like to see us incorporate. One of the things that they complained about, and again, accountability is a great thing, they complained about some of the food choices we had when we had meetings and celebrations, and that there wasn't a lot of healthy options that were provided as an offering. So we changed in that regard. The other thing that they asked for was seeing if there are ways in which we could provide a greater variety of lunchtime offerings than what the local sandwich shops and so forth had to offer. So we're right next door to ResMed, which is a large corporation. So our HR person approached their HR person. We have a gym, they don't. They have a fantastic cafeteria that serves plant slant, if you will, very healthy nutrition options. So we're working with them where our folks can go to their cafeteria and their folks can come and use our gym. Okay, and so the reason why I bring that up is be creative. Think about ways in which you can partner and align with people who are in close proximity to you, because they may have resources, tools, expertise that can help you to broaden your offerings. We also have, one thing I want to point out is the fun activity teams. And what that is a competition to see who can kind of come up with the kind of cute, neat little fun activities. One was where we had a Halloween dress-up contest. We had a ice cream truck that came to the recess, like when you're a little kid, and so again, it kind of fostered that idea of kind of recapturing that youthful play. Now, one of the things that we're challenged with as a nonprofit, we want to do things that can extend to the public for the public benefit. And so while it was great for us to have these tools and resources internally, we want to come up with ways to kind of share our knowledge and our experience with the masses, if you will. So we launched our acefit.com kind of consumer-facing website that provides a number of free resources for workplaces, for individual consumers who want to get information about exercise in various conditions, whether exercise in diabetes. If you want to learn about how to perform various yoga type routines, we have various videos that are available for free for you to follow along with an expert in learning how to bring those things in. We have an Ask the Expert blog where people can submit questions that they have related to health, fitness, and nutrition that are answered within a 48-hour time period. We also have a healthy recipes and cooking demonstration section. So if you want to learn for effective ways and strategies to prepare healthier meals for your family and for yourself, we have resources for people to come gain all that information from the website. And what many of you can do in your environments is you're welcome to utilize any of that information to help you to fuel, if you have a company wellness newsletter. There's just a wealth of information and resources that are available to you to use and incorporate. And the last, one of the last things I want to chat about is that we've also worked diligently to try to maximize the impact of those 55,000 professionals we have in trying to reorient their thinking with regard to how do they provide their services, and really to move from a prescriptive model of I'm the expert as a trainer to coming alongside the individual and serving as a coach. And so we have a health coach certification that provides individuals with the skills and tools for motivational interviewing, helping people with proper goal setting, and being able to help individuals on their journey to wellness, if you will, and help people to realize that it is in fact a journey, that it's not something that's going to occur overnight, but they're going to be well supported by the individual as well as by the organization to make that transition. And so what we did is we decided to design an engine that could, at a distance using technology, help to walk the person through that process as well, that process of change. And one of the things I'd like to really thank and acknowledge Ergotron for is that we have this online ACE Wellness program where once you opt in, it will help you with goal setting. It'll identify what your fitness personality is, if you will. It'll help you to identify proper goals based upon some simple questions that you answer. It will provide you with a daily email or text message, whichever you opt for. Gives you a little exercise tip for the day, a little nutrition tip for the day. The whole concept are those small steps, those small baby steps towards large improvement at the end. And so it's the whole idea of successive approximations to that kind of ultimate goal. You also have the ability to connect with an ACE certified health coach should you elect to do so. And those of you who sign up for that now, a real nice carrot is that Ergotron has agreed to provide a random selectively winner with a WorkFit station just for signing up for this 28-day trial program. And so it's basically having your own personal health coach for 28 days who's going to help you kind of start your wellness journey, if you will. And it even gets better. If we can't wow you with science, we'll bribe you. And what the real nice, just tremendously generous offer from Ergotron is that the person who gets selected, the organization that individual works for, will be eligible to receive up to 25 WorkFit stations for their place of work. So if you don't sign up for that free trial, something's wrong with you. I mean, there's a, it's hugely cited in your favor. Okay, but just kind of a final thing to leave you with is please, please, please think of workplace wellness as a sustainable culture and not just an event, a series of events, a single department's responsibility. It has to involve and infect the entire organization for it to truly be impactful. And as we create these impactful experiences one company at a time, we're going to be able to achieve very significant things. And for us at ACE, our 25-year BHAG is to see that obesity epidemic reversed. And it's working in partnership with folks like you and helping to give you the tools and support to empower your staff and employees to make those all-important healthy lifestyle decisions on a daily basis is what's going to make it happen. And empower is the important thing. We can't instruct people to do it. We truly can't teach them, but if we can empower them and give them the tools to make those sustainable changes and give them the all-important support, then we can do great things. Thank you.
Afternoon, everybody. We're honored to be here. Thank you, Ergotron, for inviting us to speak. My name is Kristi. This is Kelly Hartshorne. We've been working together for about 10 years now, trying to improve the comfort of our employees' workspaces. We're from Rodale Incorporated. It's a publishing company out of Emmaus, Pennsylvania. Oh, sorry. And we're going to talk about the evolution of the standing workstation at our company. There you go.
A little bit about Rodale. Most people don't know Rodale Incorporated, but you'll probably have, if not one, more than one of our brands in your house or subscribe to them. I know Genevieve picked one up in the airport, our Runner's World magazine, and Chris is associated with Prevention magazine. Our company was founded in 1930 by J.I. Rodale and founded on it was all about organic farming. Our first publication was Organic Gardening, and Prevention magazine came along in 1950, and all of these have evolved since then. And the company's focus was initially and still continues to be improving the health of individuals, communities, and the environment. And we've pretty much stood by that all these years, and engaging people to follow in this, and it's becoming more and more mainstream, but we've been there since the beginning, and the family has just stuck with it, and we continue to be family owned and run. So Kristi is going to tell us about
sticking with our green roots, as the company grew, we tried to take untypical spaces and turn them into office buildings. Like, for instance, we would use old houses, silk mills. We even used the fish hatchery. That being said, because these spaces weren't typical workspaces, your standard desks wouldn't fit. So our facilities department has actually been building custom office furniture since the late 70s. And then around the early 90s, people started asking for standing desks. But at the time, I only had so many options. So what we would do, there we go. This was our standing desk round one. We would just take our office desk pieces and put them up to counter height. But the problem with that,
as you can see with Dave and Rochelle, one size does not fit all. So continuing to repurpose and recycle things, we would take some found items and raise the keyboard, raise the mouse. The first two here, those are our men's health editors. They did an article in early 2012 on Men's Health Online, and with the help of Ergotron, installed some workstations, looking for ease of installation. And then those were the lucky guys. The other guys built their own. So you can see a pile of books there, not ideal.
Not safe.
IT did not like that setup. The second one, Bill actually, he is a woodworker and made his own. So it's custom fit for him. And this is typically what I did for people who wanted to stand, but we didn't have an Ergotron to give them right off the bat. So with the rollout of the flat panel monitors, we were using less and less of the monitor risers. So we repurposed those by making them a keyboard and keyboard tray and mouse tray elevated so people can stand. And you can go back and forth. That's actually my desk. I still use that so that the other people can have the Ergotrons that we have, because they're becoming more and more popular. So
mine, Kelly's a nurse, and that is actually a first aid kit that her monitor is.
I elevated my monitor with the first aid kit.
So the better solution became the Ergotron, and this was pointed out to us by one of the Runner's World editors, who sent us one of the video clips that was actually playing all day, and it was the employees that were hunched over and walking around, and then the one gentleman came in all spry and full of energy, and he had the Ergotron, and then we thought they were great. So we started trialing them back in fall of 2010, and they were an instant hit. And to date, I have 107 units out, and out of all the 107 units that went out, only one has ever come back. And I currently have a waiting list of 50.
And we didn't bring them in and tell people you need to use these. These have all been requests from employees. I want to stand at work, and it's infectious. Yeah. The person next to them wants to stand. And you know, some people would go as far as get a medical note saying, I have this, and this, you know, medical requirement. So. Here's some of our couple of our people. You can see no two offices are alike in our company. Every nook and cranny is custom fit.
So beyond, we try to offer our employees other options for getting up and moving around at work. And here's some other options that we have. We do have a couple of the treadmill stations, the ones that only do go 2 miles an hour. They're out in common areas, so people need to actually get up, leave their desk, go over, sign on, and work. And again, it's like it's been mentioned earlier, it's not a workout, it's just to get you up and moving a little bit.
We also have, you know, we've been recycling from the beginning. We have these centers set up. No one has trash bins in their office. You have to get up and take your trash to these centers. So it's just something we kind of build in the environment to, people don't realize that it's making them get up and move, but no one wants to have their banana peels and apples sitting around their office, nor does facilities for the bugs, but you know, just one little tweak to the environment that we've done to get people up out of their seats.
Another option is I turn one of our conference rooms into a ping pong conference room. So I do have chairs if you want to sit and use it as a regular table, or you can pull them away and put up the net and play ping pong. So that's an option.
And I think that was built by our facilities department too. We didn't go buy a ping pong table. So. And we also have a bike room for people to bike to work. We also do bicycling magazine, so it's part of our editor, their lives. They ride bicycles, so it's partially for them. But if you bike to work, there's a place to secure a bicycle.
And that's just one of them. I have a couple areas around. A lot of people bike to work. And here's a few more. We have a gym on site, the Energy Center. And they offer classes, and there's weight machines, and treadmills, ellipticals, you name it. And a lot of employees go in the morning before work. They'll go over lunch hour after work. It's open on the weekends. It's for employees and their spouses.
Up at the top there, we have a garden club that's behind our cafeteria in the back of our building. It's employee-run, employee-grown. The organic gardening people started that. And once a week, everyone gets together and works in the gardens together. And you can, if you work, you can eat. And they have salad days and you know, potlucks, and it's all from the from the garden of the things they've grown, and it's real nice landscaping too. It looks nice when you're inside looking out and seeing this beautiful gardens out there.
And we also have a game room. That one has another ping pong table, because the way our campus is set up, the conference room is in a different location. This is on the other side of the building because sometimes employees will not walk from A to B if it's not more than a few feet away. So we actually set up a game room in our other area, and in there we have foosball and we have ping pong, and it's just another way to get people up and away from their desk, even if it's for 5 minutes. And sometimes people go in there, play ping pong game, and have a meeting.
Also on the right there, we have a beautiful 1 mile loop through the woods a little bit, walking and jogging trail right outside of our building. So people take advantage of that quite often. There's running interval classes there, and lots of people just out for a stroll just to get some fresh air.
And it's open to the community too, so something else that we can offer to our area. So that's what we have to offer at Rodale to our employees, but the Ergotron's been a huge hit. It's made such a difference. So thank you, everyone.
Well, good afternoon. My name is Traci Kubisiak, and my last name is also your Polish lesson for the day. And Wendy, wherever you are, if it makes you feel any better, when I was dating my husband, it is a married name, the joke is that I didn't know how to pronounce it either. So I actually had to call his voicemail one night when I knew he wasn't in the office just to hear him pronounce his name over and over and over again. So I finally got it after 10.5 years of being married. But I am the worksite wellness consultant for the David Martin Benefit Consulting Group. We're located here in the Twin Cities. And to give you a better idea on who we are and how we got involved with the Ergotron workstations and what we do for our clients, I'm going to take you on a video journey. So if you would direct your attention up to the screen.
Remember the school nurse's office when you were a kid? Some employers are trying a similar approach to help control healthcare costs.
Wilson Tool is a company with about 500 workers in White Bear Lake, and they have found having a physician's assistant on site 5 days a week has helped people and profits.
Wilson Tool makes things out of steel, so worker safety is always a concern. But about 3 years ago, Wilson added an in-house clinic to its wellness program.
How are you doing today?
A physician's assistant is available 5 days a week to help with a variety of medical issues within walking distance of where the employees are working.
We average about anywhere from 10 to 12 people a day. We dispense medications. We do some lab work. We manage a lot of people with their blood pressure, their cholesterol. We have some with diabetes.
Having this clinic on site means workers spend less time commuting to doctors' offices elsewhere. Employee spouses and kids older than 18 months are also welcome at the clinic.
Whether they come in before work, after work, or even during work, we're able to coordinate schedules. There's a lot more flexibility for the health care that we're able to provide.
The clinic is such a success that health insurance costs here have remained virtually flat for 3 years versus double-digit yearly increases before the clinic. Wilson also has other health touches, like fruit baskets in the lunchroom and a wellness coach on site.
Wellness challenges, small group courses. I do one-on-one counseling with people. Just a variety of things. So culturally, we're always providing wellness opportunities for employees and their families.
And we talked to a Wilson Tool employee who said he feels privileged to have the clinic on site and called it a huge convenience.
So we are David Martin Benefit Consulting Group, and we are taking a stand in a number of ways. And I get a lot of questions when people see the video from Wilson Tool, and the top two questions really are, how can a clinic be profitable and turn an ROI with less than 500 employees at the location? The second is, does it really make a wellness difference outside of the actual care that's delivered at the clinic? And what we did before we opened the clinic in 2008, the video is about 2 years old, is we really took a look at the population. We really assessed, we looked at their data, we looked at their makeup, and one of the things that we knew about Wilson Tool is that they are obviously a manufacturing company. We also knew that they were mostly male. And I have to thank the Star Tribune and the U of M today on the front page. One of the top stories is men tend to put off health care when it costs more, right on the front page, so thanks to the U and Star Tribune for that. We also knew it was a population who had a high deductible health plan, an HRA arrangement, and they were seeking care at a very high-cost provider in the area. And they were long-term employees, very low turnover, aging population. It was sort of the perfect storm for an on-site clinic. There was also a lot of leadership support to do something like an on-site clinic at Wilson Tool. So to give you some statistics on how it's doing from a return on investment perspective, so it's been open for about 5 years. There have been over 9,000 visits in that time period. Now granted, some of those are also the dependents and spouses of the employees that was mentioned on the video, but when we look at just the employee utilization, we know that it saved 13,500 production hours from the time that it would take for an employee to otherwise go off-site to a different care location, which translates to Wilson Tool into a savings of $1.5 million, and that's just the productivity savings alone. From a medical cost standpoint, every visit is about $90 less than the traditional care option would be for these employees. So they're saving on the medical costs, they're saving the productivity, and as they mentioned in the video, their health care costs on the health plan side are always flat, or even the last couple of years they've had a negative trend. So Wilson Tool is very happy with the solution. And I know it's certainly not for everybody, but I wanted to share some of the innovative ways they're also using the clinic to make a difference for the employees' well-being. One of the things they're doing is running their biometric screenings through the clinic. They have an outcomes-based wellness program, so those employees are rewarded based on the results of their screenings, and money is placed into their HRA, their health reimbursement account, based on whether they are able to meet the results of those tests and the targets set for them. They are also using it to create better adherence to standards of care. So for example, someone with high blood pressure who works at Wilson Tool can get not only their free clinic visit, but they can get all their blood pressure medications free as long as they're getting to the clinic and getting their blood pressure checked on whatever schedule the physician's assistant has set forth for them. And if they don't show up, they get a call from the health coach. So it's one way that Wilson Tool is making sure that those employees with chronic conditions are really adhering to those standards of care. The health coach is also housed out of the clinic. And another unique opportunity that we had with Wilson Tool in the past year was to be able to use the clinic to help us do a direct contracting relationship for colonoscopies. It was a population, as we looked at the data, had a very low adherence rate to the colonoscopy preventive care. So we decided to create a voucher program by which employees would be guaranteed to have no cost liability. It was a convenience. The prep kits were available right on site at Wilson Tool's clinic, made it really easy. We were breaking down the barriers of inconvenience and costliness for those employees. I mean, really, who wants to go get a colonoscopy? So I have to share a story with you about the very first individual who went through that program, through the voucher program. He was a 40-year-old male, and you're probably already thinking, okay, 40-year-old males don't have to have a colonoscopy, so why would he want to have one? Well, he sat down with the physician's assistant and he said, you know, I know this is a little unusual, but I'm adopted and I don't know my family history. And this is something that's always concerned me as to whether I have a history of colon cancer or any type of cancer. I just don't know. And I'm wondering, could I use the voucher program? Because if I go to my doctor and just say I want to have one because I'm not sure, it's not as likely to be covered. It might be a process getting that covered. So he was the first person through the door. He was the first person to get that colonoscopy, and he was diagnosed with early stage colon cancer. He was completely asymptomatic. They caught it early. And so you can just imagine the success that Wilson Tool is feeling right now, not only from a cost savings perspective, but just the ability to have caught that early for that employee and know that he will likely be a forever employee with Wilson Tool. So it's been incredibly successful, and we're really excited about the on-site clinic and the things that are happening there. There's certainly a lot of other things happening around the wellness space, the well-being space. One other thing I wanted to touch on is the health and fitness trackers. You've heard a little bit this morning and even this afternoon about the capabilities of some of the fitness trackers that are out there today. They've taken the pedometer and light speeded it ahead. If you've not had a chance to see one of the fitness devices kind of up close and personal outside of being up on a screen, I'm wearing my Fitbit here today. Essentially that tracks my steps, it tracks my calories burned, it tracks intensity of exercise, and uploads to my computer where I can get a really good look at how I'm doing. Not only that, but with 2 taps of my finger here, it tells me exactly how I'm doing toward the goal that I've set for the day. And believe me, if I get to about 6 or 7 o'clock at night and I haven't met my goal, I'm grabbing my kids and we're dancing, or we're doing jumping jacks, or we're going out and grabbing a jump rope. I mean, it's a big deal for me to hit this goal every day, and it's a self-directed goal. I also just purchased one for my daughter. They have kid-friendly ones. This one happens to be a Zamzi. It's much more indestructible, I think, than some of the other models out there. But it's something the kids can put in their pocket, wear on their shirts, clip to their shorts, or clip to their shoe. And it's a great way to motivate kids. You know, in this era where we have childhood obesity becoming such a big problem, the ability to motivate kids with something like this, again, it uploads to the computer, and we all know the kids today are super computer savvy. That's really motivating for them. And then they actually earn Zamzi points, which gets them free music downloads and free, kid-friendly video clips. And then as a parent, I can put in money and actually say, when you get to this level, you actually get another $5 reward on the site that you can pick out yourself. So very motivating for kids and families. I have a girlfriend who bought one for herself and for her child, and they're competing head-to-head to see who can get the most steps in the day, and it is incredibly motivating for them, and they're really enjoying that. I know we have one of the devices back in the corner here, too, that you could take a look at as well. So there's a number of them out there. The other feature that this has that I think is pretty unique is it's also a sleep tracker. And, more and more research is coming out to say if you don't get quality sleep, that affects your metabolism, it affects your hormones, it affects the way you crave food, it may actually affect your weight, ultimately. And not all of us can go out and get a professional sleep study done, but I wear this every night. I tell it when I'm going to sleep, I tell it when I wake up. And even though I might think I had a pretty restful sleep, when it uploads to my computer, I can see how many times I was awake, how restless I was, and I might wonder one day why I'm so sleepy, and I'll look at my graph of my sleep, and I'll realize, oh, that's because I was restless 18 times last night. my sleep efficiency was only a fraction of what it should have been. So it's given me some really good data to say, how can I improve that, and at what hours of the morning is that occurring? Is it right before I get up? Am I kind of anticipating getting up? Is it, how long does it take me to fall asleep? So it's just really a great device, I think, that you can use, for your employees. And something that one of our employers did along with that is they used this last year as part of their employee bonus. So they're doing fairly well as a company. They had a cash bonus, but they also gave every single employee a Fitbit device. They have 600 employees spread across the country. It was a way especially for them to reach their remote or their traveling employees. And they made a statement with that. And they said, this is so important to our company that we believe every single employee should have one and use one. And so that really gave employees a sense that, my employer really cares about my health, wants me to use something like that, was willing to invest, between $50 and $100 per employee for that particular device. And so it made a statement from the leadership, and it really made a statement to the employees. Not only that, but the most recent newsletter that company published had 4 employee testimonials on how they've used the Fitbit to increase their fitness and to lose weight. So I think you've heard a number of great solutions today, certainly from this morning. The research is there. You've heard some great solutions already, more to come. And I just encourage you to think creatively, use unique solutions to help improve the health of yourselves, of your families, and your employees. So thank you very much.
I'm Amy Tomczyk from Blue Zones, and Blue Zones is an organization that's based here in Minneapolis. And Ann did such a fabulous job going over much of the Blue Zones content, but I will quickly summarize some of the main points and then also talk about our community efforts, because a big part of our work is taking what we've learned, not only applying it to workplaces, but to communities around the country. These are the 5 Blue Zones areas. It's Okinawa, Japan, Ikaria, Greece, Sardinia, Italy, the Nicoya Peninsula in Costa Rica, and Loma Linda, California. And these cultures are very unique in that they're living long, exceptionally healthy lives. They have a fraction of the chronic diseases that we experience in the United States. That includes obesity, diabetes, heart disease, and even cognitive mental decline. So people who are living into their 90s or even 100 still see no prevalence of these chronic, or next to no prevalence of these chronic diseases, which is really quite unique and special. They are people like my friend Ed Rollins, who's from Loma Linda. He is an active cowboy. He's 103 years old. And on the weekend, Ed likes to go water skiing. So these are very vibrant lives that these people are living, and they're quite inspirational. And we've learned quite a bit about these cultures in the 10 years that we've been studying them. It first started with a National Geographic cover story that Dan Buettner, our founder and CEO, published in 2005. And now this is the most recent updated version, the 2nd edition of the Blue Zones book, which Ann also talked about. So these are our Power 9. As we were looking at all of these different cultures, we started superimposing the things that we are seeing and learning about all these places. And we came up with the 9 common denominators that are consistent in all of the cultures. And went over them really well, but I'll just read them to you. It's to move naturally. So that's making physical activity an unavoidable part of your environment. Having the right outlook by knowing your purpose and taking time to downshift. Eating wisely, which is a small amount of caloric restriction, a plant slant, and that glass of wine each day. And then creating a healthy community and social network by belonging, connecting, and prioritizing your loved ones and your family. And these aren't things that are very difficult to do. They're quite simple, but incorporating them can be really challenging. So we offer these opportunities in the whole spectrum for people to choose which ones they want to practice in their own lives. When we wanted to create a workplace program or a community program, we had a challenge in knowing all of our research, but then trying to decide how do we actually start applying this. So we pulled together some of the top thinkers in systems thinking. We really have a systematic approach. And I think that's very consistent with a lot of other programs that people have been talking about today, where it's part of your culture, it's pervasive, it's across the board. And we wanted to have that available in communities as well. So we started with what we call our life radius. And that is 80% of our lives are lived within 20 miles of our house. So the idea is that if we can optimize that environment, then healthier choices are easier choices, and they'll just naturally ensue. People will get healthier without really even thinking about it. It takes away that individual behavior change that they need to worry about and really focuses on the environment, so it just happens, again, without thinking about it. So that's the 20 miles. And we do that in 5 different areas. The first one is policy. In the communities, that means, is it easy to smoke? Can you smoke inside and outside? Can you smoke in parks? Can you smoke on the boardwalk? Soda pop, is it easy and accessible and inexpensive? Things like food deserts. So creating policies that will be long-term and sustainable much after the time that we're in the community actually doing the program. The second part is the built environment. So that's mostly about bike paths, about sidewalks, about how streets and the physical environment, the big environment is structured. And really, the way that I summarize it is it safe and easy for people, no matter what their ability level, or if they're 5, 45, or 85 years old, to get outside and to either bike or walk or move around. This can be a really expensive thing in a lot of communities' minds, but really a lot of these projects are slated to happen anyway, and it's about changing the diameter of the sidewalk so it's wider, and cutting down a lane of traffic so that it's easier for people to move around. And so a lot of the funding is just sort of reprioritizing how they decide to pour the cement and paint the lines on the ground. The next part is about social networks. A lot of our ideas about connecting and belonging and putting your loved ones first are based on Nicholas Christakis' work in social networks and creating those groups of people who can support each other in their good choices. That was the Moai idea that we shared with Salo that Ann talked about. So creating small groups of people, we have what we call walking Moais, where instead of just telling people you should go out and walk or you should walk with your partner, but actually creating walking groups that meet 2 or 3 times a week and get together and walk, develop not only a habit of exercising together, but also a deeper social connection. The next part we call sort of your building structure or your habitat where you spend a lot of time. That would be workplaces, schools, restaurants, grocery stores, and the places where people spend the most time, including homes. And so we optimize those for healthy behaviors as well. And our last part of our life radius really has to do with the individual and purpose. So like Ann was sharing, we do purpose workshops. We make sure that people identify and know what their sense of purpose is. That's a huge component of the Blue Zone's cultures. The elders are very highly regarded in their community, and they know how valuable they are and what they can contribute. And we believe that that is something that everybody should know about, and then turning around and taking those skills and gifts and talents and applying that to not only your work, but to also volunteering. So our first prototype was in Albert Lea, Minnesota. It started in 2009. We were there for 10 months. We had some great results from that work. 27% community participation across the board. We added just 1.7 miles of walkways around the lake. They adopted a complete streets program, established walking school buses. So that is a really interesting concept. So many kids now get driven to school. And what we did is we connected seniors with different neighborhoods where a senior would meet on a certain corner or walk around the streets in a certain neighborhood, pick up all the kids, and then they would walk together, because the concern that the parents had is that the kids weren't going to be safe. But when we had the senior chaperones, so that multi-generational connection and social network building again, we created these walking school buses for the kids to add, you know, 5 miles of extra activity to their life just in a week. And then another really successful policy that we added to schools is no snacking in the hallways, and we had a really significant decline in BMI for the students just because we took away snacking in the hallways between classes. And let's see, other things, we had a loss of 12,000 pounds, added 2.9 years of longevity average per participant, reduced medical costs by the city employer, and also other lead employers noticed that absenteeism was down by 18%. One of the things that we're most proud of is we ended that program in 2009, but because they understand the model, it was systemic. It was part of their culture, just like we're all working toward in our workplace models. This continued once Blue Zones left, once the TV cameras weren't following them around anymore. So they continued. They had a tobacco-free multi-housing ordinance passed, so that was a big policy change that they had. They added the Blue Zones checkout lane at the largest grocery store in town. So instead of having unhealthy snacks at the checkout, they have all healthy snacks. They improved school nutrition, they installed bike lanes in the major thoroughfares, and they added another 5 miles of walking, jogging, and biking route around their lake and connecting the different neighborhoods to the lake itself. So it's much more user-friendly. So those more purpose workshops, more work sites, more tobacco-free work sites, more community-wide events, and an increase in volunteerism as well. So our next program, we went to the beach cities south of LA, which is Redondo, Manhattan, and Hermosa Beach. And we have been there for 2 years. There are 153 employers engaged. They have 42 Blue Zones restaurants that have been designated and met our criteria for healthy options. They have 145 walking Moai teams, which includes 1,450 different participants, 200 volunteers, 1,000 people have attended purpose workshops, and we've had now almost 1,500 touches within that community. Our overall improvement in that first 2 years was an increase in the Healthways Gallup Wellbeing Index, which is a national measurement of well-being in a community, and we had a 3-point increase in that well-being index score, which is really quite a significant increase. And we have estimated that that will result in about a $9.3 million savings to that community because of fewer claims and fewer hospital visits. Other results from that includes a 14% drop in obesity. There's more than 1,000 adults that are no longer obese in that community, a 30% drop in smoking, a 10% boost in exercise happening in the community, and a 9% boost in healthy eating. So again, just that drop in obesity, we've calculated the $2.35 million in healthcare savings and an 8 million savings in work loss productivity. And those are all numbers that are provided to us through the over 1.5 million data points through the Healthways Wellbeing Index. So that is a survey that is taken on a regular basis. Like we all know and have been talking about most of the day, the value proposition of improved well-being the reduced medical costs, the increase in performance with productivity, engagement, decrease in absence, decrease in work impairment is a total increase in economic value. So again, our return on investment is to prevent or delay diseases and conditions, prevent or reduce the impact and the need for health care, and enhance people's ability to actively manage their own well-being and their own health. And just a little bit more drilling down to the workplace for you, the improved well-being drivers for improved performance, we focus on the 3 different areas, which are physical well-being, the emotional well-being, and the social well-being. And the systemic effect that we try for is to make core investments in all of these different sectors, in all 6 areas. So that's developing the well-being leaders and getting leaders engaged, having people be able to define their purpose as well as the mission, values, and purpose of the organization, to optimize their habitat and their physical environment, both at work and at home, to optimize engagement and social networks, to optimize the HR policies and benefits that are provided and the well-being that can result of having those good policies, and also optimize solutions for well-being, which might be smoking cessation programs or diabetes management and other well-being programs. So overall, again, like so many of us have said, it's very pervasive. It's very much included throughout the entire organization or the entire community. And also, it's about optimizing your environment so that it's easier to get healthier. You don't have to think about it. It's just happening, just like your sit-stand desk. It's there, and so you use it. And other people around you are using it, and so you just do it and get healthier. Thank you. Oh, and I have one more thing for you. The wine is from Sardinia, and it's called a Cananau. And you can't always find it at the largest liquor stores in town, but if you find a boutique liquor store, they will definitely know what you're talking about. And yeah. Lunds or Byerly's will get it for you. Sellers will get it for you. So that's the secret. It's Cananau from Sardinia.
Cananau.
Cananau. C-A-N-N-A-N-O-U.
Did you all write that down? Thank you so much, you guys. We really, like we said, we feel very distinguished to have you all sitting up on the stage today, sharing your explorations and experience. And I know everybody here, like myself, learned a lot from what you guys have integrated into your own environments, what you're out sharing with the community. We're a little behind schedule, but are there questions that anybody has for the panel before we move on to the closing items and on to the networking happy hour? Any questions? They answered everything. Hey, I like the little dance back there, by the way. Thank you. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.